Well, good day and welcome once again to Moments with Dr. Steve. I'm Dr. Steve Bonenberger. What a delight, what a joy, what an honor and privilege to have you invite us and then welcome us into your world. We know what it's like to be living in these days. We know what it's like to feel the pressure and the grist and the grind and the friction of relationships and money issues and spiritual issues and then cultural and political issues. We understand these things. And so on this day, we get to have the privilege of speaking into my great opus on human healing, and that is the way out. It took me several, 5, 6 years to write this book. And it is the amalgamation and then the compilation and the distillation. Those are big words. The amalgamation, the compilation, and the distillation. It is the amalgamation. It is this gathering of information, the compilation. It is then the organizing of that information, and then the distillation, the ability to say in clear language how to find and harness human healing. And so on this day, we invite you to go to stalegius.org, leave us a note for a small contribution to our ministry. You can receive a copy of The Way Out and begin to gather information. By the way, if you're a pastor, a lay leader, if you lead any kind of spiritual group, you will want to have this book. It is ammunition for you. It is structure for you. It is language that you can use and you can implement. It is process that you can inform your congregants and your parishioners and those that are inside of your organization. So go find a copy, get a copy, start to work through it as people do all over the world, and we'll be glad to chat with you with this information, and look forward to that. Excuse me. Now, in this segment, we're going to talk about human suffering. And human suffering remains one of the great mysteries. The belief, it is the myth, when we're inside of suffering, that no one suffers like we do and no one suffers but us. It is a very individualized thing. Suffering is intense. It has duration, it has texture, it has feeling, it has consequence, and it is personalized. Suffering feels like the world and all of its agencies and all of its agents are plotting against us with the intent of bringing us harm. It feels that way. It feels like we've been pre-selected and that we have been, isolated, and all of the forces of suffering are focused on us in this season of our life. Suffering implants within us this strange concoction of bruised egos and broken bodies and this interminable feeling that this isn't going to end. Suffering, as it endures, as it lingers, it begins to assemble choices. We begin to notice that we begin to have choices inside of the suffering. As it endures, as it lingers, we begin to realize that we can make choices. Either we can learn to lean into the suffering and gain wisdom and strength and really true compassion, and then directly relate that compassion developed and sourced by our suffering to others, or we can permit suffering to simmer and boil and spill into every arena of our life, poisoning relationships, wrecking our physical strength, and evaporating our moral and spiritual courage. In the way out, I outlined 5 key strands of intelligent soul recalibration. In the way out, I outlined 5 key strands of intelligent soul recalibration. The 5 strands of intelligent soul recalibration that I discover and I define and I build and then I put forward as adoptable premises for you and for anyone who suffers are: number 1 is discovering purpose. You have a purpose in your life. Number 2 is the discovery of the 10 purpose drivers. I outline those. I give process on how to locate them and then direct them and to make them sources of strength. The discovery and development of story as healing mechanism. You have a story to tell. The very fact that you have endured what you're enduring permits you to be able to find that story and articulate it and then direct it. So the next one is you can discover and direct and mine clinical care. There are people that are experts around you. God will send angels of mercy if you permit him. Many times even if you don't, because God cares about broken human beings. And then the discovery and personal closeness with Jesus Christ as Savior and Healer. So the 5 strands of intelligent soul recalibration are: discover purpose, discover the 10 purpose drivers, discover and develop your personal story, discover and direct and mine and leverage clinical care, and then discover and align yourself with Jesus Christ as Savior and soul healer. The only true and lasting suffering, then, remains the refusal of care. The only true and lasting suffering remains the refusal of care. And the direct ignoring of God's assembling angels of mercy who are sent and arrive at light speed for those who care to seek and find and then live into personal recalibration with the intent of personal reinvention. We are building a global cultural conversation. We invite you to head over to saintalegius.org and to drop us a note and tell us of your own search for light and for recalibration and then for reinvention. Till next time, I am Dr. Steve Bonenberger, and this is Moments with Dr. Steve. Travel far.